Hi, I'm Gina Barrett, a program director at the Consortium for Public Education. Today I'm here with Carlton Haywood, a teacher and librarian with Pittsburgh Public Schools. Carlton, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're glad you're here. How long have you been in the field of education? And can you tell us what you do as a teacher and librarian?
Yes, I've been with education 30 plus years. And throughout my years, I had the opportunity to first work with adults. I was a librarian at Conley, which was a school for just adults, everyone from 18 to 85 years old. And then from there, I went to elementary and Leamington Elementary School. I was there for quite a few years, and I was a school librarian and taught all language arts and history. And then from there, Westinghouse High School, where I taught grad project and librarian. And then also at Peabody, same thing. And then now at Brashear High School.
What do you like most about being in the field of education?
I have to say that the fortunate thing was the relationships being built and learning from the kids just as much as the kids were learning from me. It felt good to be able to set goals and see students achieve those goals and even far surpass where the expectations of themselves and everyone else. And it's just a beautiful feeling. And you know, at the end of the day, knowing that it's a marathon, and just the idea of, you know, that some days you may not make that mark, but then at the end of that semester, end of that year, when you look back, you see nothing but goodness. And that is, to me, that's the joy. That's the joy of teaching.
When you were growing up, did you have an educator of color that encouraged you to become a teacher?
Initially, I'm going to say initially, no. I never had the idea of being a teacher in my mind. That was never nothing ever I wanted to do. I remember my experience at Pittsburgh Public Schools in elementary. There were quite a few teachers of color, and it was because it was at the height of the civil rights movement. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. I remember being in the classroom in second grade. Principal comes on, she makes the announcement, and you can hear her crying through the loudspeaker. And at that point, all the teachers, a lot of them were of color, a lot of them were women. They took a different stance on teaching, and they put so much into us. They poured everything. One teacher in particular, by the time I got to be in fourth grade, she saw all of us as her kids, and she pulled me as one of them aside, and she just poured a lot into us. We're still friends to this day. I take my hat off to her. And then I moved from Pittsburgh Public Schools back out to North Versailles to the East Allegheny School District. And as I think about it, I didn't have any teachers of color, but I know in that one transition, my fifth grade teacher, I remember once when there was a question to do with something about some kind of Black history situation. And here's a white lady. And I remember raising my hand because I was never afraid to speak. And I said, you know, it didn't happen that way. This is how it happened. And she paused. And she said, I need to see you after class. You know, so I was kind of used to getting in trouble. And she said, so tell me everything you know. And I explained to her. And she said, where'd you learn this? And I said, I learned this Pittsburgh Public Schools. She said, okay. She said, I don't know these things, but I'm going to rely on you to help us in our conversations. Let's learn. And when she did that, she empowered me. You know, to this day, we talk about it. And I said, you know, you, in a way professionally, but you encouraged me and you inspired me to speak on what I thought I knew about. And she just opened the door.
Carlton, when did you know that you wanted to be an educator?
I was in the military, finished college, and I knew I was getting out the military, and I was just thinking about what am I going to do? The idea kind of came up that maybe you could become a teacher. And I kind of dismissed the idea right away. I said, no, you're not doing that. It wasn't until I came back and I started working at the United Cerebral Palsy, and I was a teacher there. But I just did that for a minute, went back to graduate school, I wanted to just become a librarian because I'm a bookworm, you know. And they were saying, well, you need to get your certification because you could do this. I kept running. It wasn't until after I worked as a librarian at the Carnegie Library, when Pittsburgh Public Schools was looking, I got a phone call and they said, hey, you know, would you come and consider? And I said, okay. So it was a long time coming. I never really had that in my mind, but I kept myself open, and then here we are.
Well, why do you think it's important, especially for students of color, to have teachers of color?
It's important for everyone. Gina, I think it's because, especially now in the world that we're living in with so much, you know, diversity and so much where, you know, there was a time where this wouldn't happen. It was illegal. Then finally, when the opportunity came, it was kind of still forbidden. But now more than ever, we definitely need it. And, you know, if you can't see it, you can't be it. Or how are the students going to know that that could be them in the classroom someday? How are they going to know that they may have it, especially now? Because I know I speak to a lot of students and I say, could you become a teacher? And they look at me just like I looked at teachers way back when. Oh, no, can't do that. Oh, no, they give you too much gray hair. They make you crazy. You know, kids are different these days. But if you're not in the classroom as a teacher or of color or different ethnicity or belief or culture, how are you going to reach the students like you? If you don't understand where they're coming from, if you don't get it, or if they don't at least see you as an advocate, somebody they can go to and just talk to and spill it and just, you know, kick it back and forth with, then, you know, you're gonna get the same product. You're gonna get the same experience that is kind of commonplace. It's very, very, very important. Plus, I think that the faculty and staff and administration need to see us because they may not realize our real potential as teachers of color or whatever, because they may be fixed in a certain way. If you don't understand that our world is much bigger than, you know, the confines of a classroom or a school building. We have kids coming from everywhere with languages, religious, and all this different beliefs and all that. Somebody has to teach them. So you have to be able to be on that common ground and understand. That's why.
Can you tell us about a time that maybe an impact that you had on a student or the system around you has been especially rewarding to you?
You know, and it just, you know, when students would come to me and say, hey, you need to teach this subject because no one else could teach it like you, whatever the subject is. And it's a confidence builder for, you know, me, but it's also saying that, okay, well, at least I was in the same church or the same trajectory where they were thinking, you know. Or if a student just comes and says, you know, because of what you told me, you know, you changed my life. You know, there's a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of different things. Sometimes just patience, humor, or just listening, shutting up and listening. So, Gina, specific, way too many, but just the overall experience. This is the road that I've been on since for the last 30 plus years.
What advice do you have for students who are considering becoming teachers?
Yeah, don't give up. Hang in there. Understand that when you get in your classroom, wherever your classroom is, you are God. You're the captain of that ship. And what's happening outside of the classroom with administration or anyone else is basically up to you. And you just have to be patient. You have to have different goals, and then you have to understand it's just communication, you know, and building that relationship. And if you stick it out, understand that there's book knowledge, there's street knowledge, there's school knowledge, all that plays in. Everything that you've done in your life, every experience, every conversation, you have to use that as building blocks to get you to where you're going to be. All that experience all counts.
Well, Carlton, thank you so much for being with us. It's been an honor to talk to you today, hear your thoughts and your insights. We really enjoyed hearing what you had to say.
Thank you so much for giving me a chance to express myself. And all of you future teachers out there, good luck. And if you want to talk personally, contact Gina and she'll get you in contact with me. Be your advocate. Thanks. Take care.